Hey, what's going on? I am back. I got a little bit of R&B in the background as usual, per usual. So tonight we're gonna wrap up that two-part series on how to coach yourself because I think it's important. And so I've spent literally the last 2 days talking about how you can actually coach yourself. And if you're a member in my Facebook community, I actually shared what conditions are actually optimal for doing that, like what state of mind, what state you need to be in emotionally, being vulnerable, being coachable, so that you can actually coach yourself. So nevertheless, I think we need to talk about this a little bit more. What do you think? Yay! I got my face back in your place. My name is Stephanie D. McKenzie, and I am your favorite empowerment coach. And today we're going to wrap up that two-part series on how to coach yourself, Self-Coaching 101. I have to confess, the college professor in me does not like to see 101s, but it's all good. So get in here. Let me know, what is it that you're doing? Are you washing dishes? Are you listening to YouTube? Are you messing around on social media? Are you, typing a really long, inappropriate message to your ex? Let me know. What are you doing? Drop that in the comments, or at least just say hi. And I'll definitely say hi back. This is a great time for me to remind you that I am streaming on my personal page as well as YouTube. However, this live will cease to exist on Facebook the minute I'm done. So in order to revisit the information that was given last night as well as tonight, you will have to become a member. And that means as you're coming in on YouTube, why don't you click the like button? Some people act like it's a wish, right? So you come in and you wish and you set your intention and you hit the button, then you can subscribe and you can tap that bell, because I have new content coming out every single solitary day this month. Black history every day. I'm Black. I'm making history every single solitary day. This is what we're doing. So I tell you what I do need help with, though, for my makeup my makeup artistas. Yes. Those of you who are into makeup artistry, listen, I'm spending a lot of time having a lot of fun with my makeup. And then when I get on camera, it evaporates behind the glasses. So if anybody has an idea for a better primer, a better eyeshadow primer, let me know. I have used NYX, the white stick. I have also used, what's the name of that? 𝘂𝗶𝗱𝗲 eyeshadow primer. So do me a favor. If you have an eyeshadow primer that you really like, drop that in the comments and help a sister out, because I'm working way too hard for you not to be able to see all this artistry that I have put together. Nevertheless, we're going to get into this. I'm going to do a quick little recap for those of you who are coming in. Let me know what you're doing, but I'm going to do a quick little recap over last night. And I didn't want that to stay there. So I'm like, let me get rid of that banner. Let me get comfortable. Roll your shoulders back. Get into it. Feet flat on the floor. It feels like we're about to meditate. We're really not. But I wanted to do kind of a recap over the things that I shared last night, because I think those are really important. And I shared with you 3 different, and I have my notes over here. So if you see me looking, that's what I'm looking at. I shared with you 3 different techniques that you can use to coach yourself. And I also brought out the 52Q coaching deck, which is still available tonight for a special 22% off. Use the code TUBE if you go to 52q.com to purchase your deck. Yay! And we'll be shipping those out probably next week. I just need to see what our inventory is. So usually it says 2 to 4 weeks for delivery. But if we have them in stock, then, we go ahead and get them out. That's just what we do. But I don't want you, as much as I love this card deck, I don't want you to have to rely on a card deck or any other assist to coach yourself. So last night I went over what I call the Sonic Sesh, 3PQ, which is 3 powerful questions, and then a tool I call conjunctionization. And so I shared those with you. And again, we're going to put a little card at the top of this thing that'll direct you back to part 1, so you can get that, take your notes, and see which one actually jives with you. So tonight I have just one. I literally just have one technique I want to share with you, but it's pretty involved and detailed. And so I figured, okay, I'll save this until the next night because there's a lot of moving pieces to it, okay? So this is a technique that I call 𝘃𝗀𝗃. Now, I'll get into the meaning of the name, but before I do that, I have to have a story to share. And I was like, what story am I going to share with you tonight? Last night, I shared the story of when I may have gone off on everybody at dinner one time. That was a couple of years ago. Actually, that was more like 3 or 4 years ago. Yeah. But I was thinking like, what story? And, honestly, as I talk, my stories just come up and come up and come up. But, I did something crazy with the shirt. So if you're like wondering what is going on with the shirt, I kind of like moved it around and I put the pockets up here and I buttoned it in the back. And I don't know if I like it or not, but it was different. And so I said, you know what, we'll just rock with it. I'm completely fine. So this story should not be funny to me, but it continues to be one of the funniest stories in my life. And I will never forget this because when I was younger, I was in the church choir. This is a church funny. Okay. So this is one of my church stories. And there was a lady who loved to sing a solo. Some of y'all know that you have people in the church, they love to sing solos, but yeah, about that whole solo thing. It's, okay. They can't sing. I'm just going to be honest. They can't sing. Okay. Right. So it was one of those Sundays where this particular, she's an older woman at the time. Like at this point, she has gone on to wherever she went on to, and in another realm, in another world. But I remember her getting up for some reason to sing a song or something that the Lord had laid up on her heart. And so we're all in the choir stand. At this point, I'm probably about, I might be 12, 13, 14, maybe. And so she gets up to sing, guys, and she's on the mic. And, people that can't sing, they go through a lot before they start singing, right? They talk about how you have to bear with them and how the Lord put this on their heart and all this other stuff, right? And so, she's just talking. And I'm just sitting there. And so she finally begins to sing Blessed Assurance. And oh, okay. Because we were all very clear about the fact that she really couldn't sing. She really couldn't, but the Lord had laid that upon her heart. So, okay. And just as she gets to the part where she says, this is my story, this is my song, she says, this is my story. Oh, I think my teeth are about to fall out of my mouth. What I remember happening in that moment is that whomever was sitting beside me jumped over me. And they all left the choir stand. So here I am sitting here with this woman who said that her teeth were going to fall out of her mouth. And I'm sitting in the choir stand by myself. Everyone else has literally left me sitting there. And I'm looking to gain eye contact with any willing adult in the audience. And nobody would look at me. I was like, really? Nobody would look at me. I could call names of the individuals that I looked at, including my own mother. Nobody would look at me. And again, like I said, that was probably about 30 years ago, at least. And I'm like, it's still one of the craziest stories in my arsenal. So nevertheless, that's my Blessed Assurance story. Let's get on with this. I want to give this to you really quickly. It's called 𝘃𝗀𝗃. And the reason why I left it until this night is because it includes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hence the quint, and then essential. Get it? These 5 essential questions is really what I'm calling it. But to make it cute, I called it 𝘃𝗀𝗃. Get it? Got it? Okay. So there are 5 questions in this, but again, kind of like 3PQ, this is something that I don't think you can do from the jump. The minute you have that unpleasant, that uncomfortable feeling, I don't think that you can really jump into 𝘃𝗀𝗃 or 𝘃𝗀 as I call it. Or you could even call it D5 because you're like, okay, Stephanie, you're being really extra. And so whatever you want to call it. But every question starts with a D, if that helps. But just like 3PQ, which is 3 powerful questions, I don't think that you can do that from the moment you have those uncomfortable feelings, or the minute you have an emotion that you can't readily identify, I'm going to always say, jump to the sonic sesh before you go anywhere else. Jump to the sonic before you go anywhere else. And I think also conjunctionization, simply because of the brevity of it, is also very powerful in those moments when you need to, like, you know, like bring it back together immediately. Like, okay. I mean, even before I was going live, you know, I was having this conversation with myself, and, you know, there's something going on in the neighborhood. You know, neighbors are making noise and all this other stuff, right? And it happens pretty regularly, to the point where I'm like, seriously, what are y'all doing? And then sometimes they're having a party. Sometimes I don't know, but they're doing something, and I don't know which neighbors it is. Could be the back neighbors, the front, whatever. I hear noise, and, you know, it was really annoying me. And so I literally, before I went live, I did a sonic sesh. I checked in. I said, what am I feeling? Annoyed. What can I do about it? Absolutely, positively nothing. What I can do is get up here and do this live. That's what I can do. But I can't stop them from making noise. I can't, you know, go. I don't even know which house it is. You know, there's nothing I can do. And so in that, I'm like, boom, sonic sesh. Okay, done. I've acknowledged it. And let's bring it back into where we're supposed to be. Okay. All righty then. So if you're coming in, let me know what you're doing. And if you were here last night, put 2222 in the comments. Let me know. Here's a benefit of subscribing, by the way. Let me put that up there. Blink. Like this video, subscribe and tap that bell over on YouTube. Here's the benefit of subscribing, because I'm a person that loves to give things away. I love to give things away. And so more than likely in the next week or so, I'm going to go in and I'm going to pull all the names of people who have subscribed, and we're going to do a random name picker, and somebody's going to win something. And you'll never know when it's going to happen. But what you do know, and what you can control, is your eligibility. And you can be eligible by subscribing. Just because you are, you might win something. Home Alone face. Yes. Okay. So nevertheless, Quintessential is the technique I want to teach you tonight. I might pull a couple of cards. If anybody wants a card, put card in the comment. Actually, I think I'm just going to pull a card for good measure, because somebody might need it on the replay. Let's see. Let's see what we can get. Hopefully it won't be the same, like 10 cards that always seem to come out. I'm like, what is the deal? There are like 52 questions and actions in this deck. And of course, it would fall out and fall on the floor. Okay, let's see if I can get my access to it. Oh, there it is. Okay. Ooh, this is a good one. Okay, I don't know who this is for, right? Y'all, I have a little, can I have a confession to you? Like, I feel like my head looks crooked when I'm like doing live. Let me see. Like, I feel like it should look more like that. Maybe. I don't know. That's the thing about being recorded backwards. You just never know. But here's a card for somebody. It says, ask for a sign and expect to see it. Ask for a sign and expect to see it. Okay. I don't know who that was for, but go 52Q. Hey, it knows it. Listen, it knows what you need. So I don't know who needed it, but you got it. All right. So Quintessential has 5 questions that you can ask yourself. And really the purpose of Quintessential or Quint is to help you identify patterns. Many times we continue to have the same challenges over and over and over and over. And those challenges sometimes don't get the attention that they need in order for us to not continue to experience that. If you've ever found yourself dating the same person with a different face, or if you've ever found yourself being friends with the same type of person, different face, different job, that's a pattern. If you find yourself having complaints, I never shall forget somebody that I knew a long time ago told me that, you know, every person that they've ever been with cheats on them. Okay, well, that's a pattern. And though I don't believe that you can make anyone cheat, I do believe that you can choose people that may lack a certain amount of coping mechanisms, that feel that cheating or being, adulterous is the way to solve the situation. I also believe that you might be a person that creates conditions within a relationship. And because you've chosen people that don't have strong coping mechanisms, you may have people in your life that think cheating is an option. But nevertheless, there's still a pattern. So if you've ever said every time, then this is for you. So the first question is, does this seem similar? Does this seem similar? Basically, I'm sorry, does this seem familiar? Stephanie can't read her own handwriting. Hey, it happens. So does this seem familiar? Oftentimes, your answer to that question is going to be yes, this seems real familiar. And one of the challenges that we have oftentimes is that as humans, when something seems familiar, and if it seems familiar to something that has hurt us or caused us pain, we're pushing back. Like, nope, not going to do that again. And so even in asking that question, what I'm going to challenge you to do is recognize that you always deserve a new season in your life. And just because a person may be displaying behaviors that are similar or familiar to you, or similar to another person that you may have engaged with, don't throw out the baby with the past bathwater. Don't do that. Don't do that. Okay? All right. So that's your first question. Does this seem familiar? All right. So if it does seem familiar, which you probably wouldn't be asking this question if it didn't, then your next question is, does this tie to a pattern of behavior? Does this tie to any sort of narrative, like the examples I gave you, like every time, and I've seen this before, and when they do this, and da, 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 da. If you can see a pattern, dash, dot, dash, dot, then yeah, it's tying to a pattern of behavior. If you're feeling as if you're dating the same person with a different face, that's worth taking a pause. Now, I didn't say you got to get rid of that person. Okay, like listen carefully. But that's worth taking a pause. Taking a pause. And we're taking the pause. This is all done within. This is all inner work. These are not questions that you're asking anyone else but yourself. And it's very reflective. And so that's why I'm saying to you guys, I don't think at the jump of any situation that you could go into to dequint. I don't think the dequint technique is going to work out for you. I really don't. I think if you're feeling those emotions and they're coming at you rather hot and heavy, you're probably going to want to either sonic sesh or maybe even conjunctionize the situation. That's just my 22 cents on the matter. All right. So we know now that this does seem familiar. Yes, it's tied to a pattern of behavior. But now we've got to ask a real question. Does this pattern come from trauma or trepidation? Thank you for that emoji, love. Does this pattern come from trauma or trepidation? Trauma meaning anything that flipped your perspective and your reality, and trepidation meaning fear. So right in this moment, I'm asking you to do something called trace the trigger. I just didn't call it that. But right in this moment, I'm asking you to identify where this is coming from. Does it come from a past trauma, or does it come from a past fear? Because here's the thing, and I saw this on a TV show, and so some of you guys know I love Station 19. Shout out to ABC. Shout out to Boris Kodjoe. Some of y'all know I love Boris Kodjoe. Not in the Nicole Ari Parker kind of way, but I just think he's a groovy dude. I really, truly do. So anyway, there is a psychologist on that show. Well, there's a woman that's playing a psychologist on that show. And she said something so profound that it has stuck with me. And she said, hysterical, historical. Hysterical, historical. Hysterical, historical. So I took that to mean hysterical in the present means that it's tied to something historical. It's tied to something in the past. And so even as I'm looking at this, does this pattern come from trauma or trepidation? That to me is helping you answer the question. If you're hysterical in the present, is it historical? Usually, because you are hard triggered by past trauma and trepidation. And that becomes a challenge, because now that's saying that you need to do something. It's not completely on that person. This is your stuff. This is your ish. This is your baggage. You got to do something. Everybody is not going to cater to your triggers and your patterns and your traumas and your fears. Everybody's not going to do that. Nor can you expect everybody to do that when you're not doing the work to heal yourself from those things that distort your reality, that distort how you hear and what you see. Anything that distorts your perspective of what things really are and what you ultimately deserve, I would consider that trauma. That can be big T trauma or little t trauma. And so in that, if the answer is yes, which more than likely it's going to be, I would say 9 times out of 10, it's probably going to be yes. Then here comes the real work. And that question is, do I need to rewrite or release a narrative? Home Alone face. Do I need to rewrite or release a narrative? So that means that I'm taking the acknowledgement that what I'm feeling, this familiar pattern, is indeed tied to traumas that I've experienced, is indeed tied to fears that have been placed within me or that I've placed within myself, trauma and trepidation. And now I'm taking and making a conscious effort to do something about it, to release or rewrite a narrative. Those are no easy feats. You could spend an entire day rewriting and releasing the narratives, because over our lives, many times, other people have had the pen to write our book. The book of our life has been written by pens that are not ours. And so we have these notes that have been scribbled upon us and inscribed upon our hearts and on our souls that aren't the truth. They aren't the truth. Some people have been told that they were never going to amount to anything, but they did. But what that means is that pen, that ink has been inscribed upon them. And at the most inopportune time, that ink will show up. And if you're not careful, you will read that narrative and consider it the gospel truth. And it's not. So in that, we're rewriting the narrative. Sometimes we're rewriting it. Sometimes we're releasing it. Sometimes we're rewriting it and releasing it. But I think ultimately, those are 2 powerful acts that you can take when it comes to recognizing the lies that have been imparted upon you. Because the truth of the matter is that people will always operate from their level of wherever they are. They can only love you from the level that they love themselves. They can only understand you based on the level to which they understand themselves. They can only have faith in a thing to the level that they have faith. So if you're asking somebody to have faith for you, or if you're telling somebody something that requires an obscene, ridiculous amount of faith, guess what? If they've never had to exact obscene, ridiculous amounts of faith on anything, they're going to look at you like you got 13 heads just popping out your neck. Because they've never had to do it. And so inadvertently, and sometimes, and unfortunately, sometimes it's not inadvertently, people have written the book of our lives with their pens. And so it is empowering for us to take the pen. Collect all the other pens while you're doing that, but you take control of the pen. You become the author of your story because you are the main character of your story. I saw that in a live, was it a live or was it on Instagram? I saw that on social media, that I am the main character of my story. It is not for me to really play all these supporting roles that I may have been playing time and time again because I needed the validation. When you don't need validation, You have your own pen. You write your own narrative. You release the lies that you have been told. You identify them as lies. You rewrite them, and many of them you just release. There's nothing to rewrite. Someone that told you that you're never going to amount to anything, we can conjunctionize that and kick that right out the door. Because what I don't want you to do is to live a life where you're constantly fighting against what somebody has said about you. Let your haters be your motivators. True. But don't let that hate overtake you. Don't let those words overtake you, because in some ways you could find yourself seeking validation when that's not what you're called to do. So ultimately you start doing all these things to prove them wrong. And I'm like, well, we already know that they were wrong. So what we're doing is living our life in the best way possible so that we can impact others, so we can have, and we can impact others positively, and then we can move forward. But if we're continually tethered to the lies that someone has inscribed upon our heart and our soul and even our mind, then that's going to be hard. So that's why I say, pick up your pen and collect all the others, because it doesn't even matter. They don't have to live your life. They don't. Some of them wish they were living your life, but that's a whole different life. All right. So do I need to rewrite or release a narrative? Good question. Question 4. No, that is question 4. Dang. Question 5. I went through that fast. Do I need to take immediate action or inaction? So as I'm going through this process and I'm asking these questions, does this seem familiar? Does this tie to a pattern of behavior? Does this pattern come from trauma or trepidation? Do I need to rewrite or release a narrative? And then lastly, I'm asking, do I need to take immediate action or inaction? The answer is going to be yes. The question will just be, is it action or inaction? Do I need to be still or do I need to do something? Which is it? Only you'll know that. And I think the best way for you to figure that out is to just be really still and close your eyes and breathe and see what comes to you in that moment. Because as I said last night, one of the things that we need to cultivate and curate, especially as high achieving coaches, business owners, and leaders, is a beginner's mind. Is not dealing with everything as if it's the same thing, but allowing ourselves to have new experiences and new learning experiences at that. Just a thought. Beginner's mind. Beginner's mind could be the most powerful thing you could ever do, because just as I've always said, even if you've done something 87 times, the 88th time may require something different. And when you take the posture of having a beginner's mind, meaning that I don't know, I just don't know. I may have known before, but I don't know now. I'm in a new season, a new cycle. Maybe I'm operating on a new layer. Maybe I'm doing a new level. Maybe this time, instead of doing it by myself, I need to connect with other people and we need to do it together. See, I don't know is one of the most powerful things that you can exact upon a situation. The posture of the beginner's mind. Just something I want to share with you. Anyway, so that is 𝘃 or 𝘃quintessential. And that is one of 4 techniques that you can use to coach yourself. And all of these are pretty much proprietary. These are things that I've shared with clients. These are things that I've shared with fellow coaches. These are things I'm sharing with you right now. Yay! So before I get out of here, I'm going to pull another card. Whoa, these cards, I tell you, they just want to fly out. Ooh, I think this is a great place to land this plane right here. Boom. What expectations do you have for yourself? Try to make that straight. Yeah. There we go. And get it closer. What expectations do you have for yourself as we're really processing the beauty that is 2022 and the second month and Black history and all of the beautiful things that are happening in this month? What are your expectations of yourself? Is there anything you want to do differently? Is there anything you want to do better? Anything you want to do more of? Anything you want to do less of? What are the expectations that you have for yourself? And if you know that, then I want to challenge you to take one of these techniques and make it your own. Use it. Take it in. Take ownership of it. And let me know how you're doing when it comes to coaching yourself. All right? So listen, I'm going to wrap this up. I didn't want to keep you long. Last night was a long one. Didn't want to keep you too long. We have a winter storm coming in. So I'm happy that we still have power. Guys, if you know anything about Texas, you know that 90% of the state, 95% of the state is not on the federal grid. That's a whole different conversation. But if you pray that we keep power. That's all I ask of you. All right. So listen, I'm going to get out of here. Thank you guys for dropping by. If you catch this on the replay, drop a comment, like, and sharing is caring. And guess what? If you're new to the channel, like this video, literally press the like button, subscribe, and tap the bell. My goal is to have 470 subscribers by my birthday on February 18th. So I'm super duper excited. I haven't checked the numbers today, but I really feel like doing this YouTube channel is where I need to be. And so I'm excited to be here with you. If you have any suggestions or if you have a question that I can answer for you, please drop it in the comments. I'm happy to do so. If you're watching on Facebook, please note that the only way to catch the replay is going to be on the YouTube channel, which you get to that by going to StephOnYouTube.com. Oh, look, like that. It's over there. There it is, StephOnYouTube.com. So you go to StephOnYouTube.com and you can subscribe. So nevertheless, I'm going to get out of here. Can't think of anything else I need to tell you. We pulled cards. We've talked. I gave you a story, gave you a few stories. So let me turn the music down and give you a proper farewell. My name is Stephanie D. McKenzie. I am a speaker, teacher, author, and coach, here to remind you to always be your own superhero and to thank you for learning with me. I'm always pressed to see if I want to get out of here with something really cute. I think I do. Okay, bye.